Monday, 1:12 a.m. The overnight desk is quiet enough that I can hear the wall clock in Studio B through the glass. It ticks because the digital clock over the main rundown froze at 12:47 a.m. after engineering restarted the news system. That is normal for this place. Nothing in a local station works perfectly after midnight. The cameras sit cold. The assignment board still has Sunday weather notes on it. A half-eaten turkey sandwich is wrapped in wax paper beside the police scanner. And the scanner is the only thing in the room that sounds alive. I am sitting at the senior producer desk with 2 phones, 4 muted monitors, 1 open city alert feed, and a cheap legal pad full of names I wrote down during the 10 o'clock show. My name is Daniel Ward. I am 40 years old. I have worked in Manhattan newsrooms since I was 22, first as a tape runner, then as a field producer, then as the man who gets blamed when a live shot fails in rain. I know the city through cameras and calls. I know which traffic camera shakes when the wind comes through the avenues. I know which hospital public information officer answers after midnight, and which one lets every call roll to voicemail. I know the difference between a real emergency and a cluster of ugly accidents that only feels connected because a newsroom wants it to be connected. That is what I tell myself at 1:12 a.m. The first call comes from a freelance camera operator near Delancey Street. His name is Evan, and he is usually calm because he has filmed fires, shootings, building collapses, gas leaks, and campaign events where people shoved cameras for no reason. Tonight he is not calm. I hear traffic behind him, then a woman shouting, then the sound drops because he has his hand over the microphone. "You still at the desk?" he asks. "I am here. What do you have?" "Police activity by the Essex Street station. Not a shooting." "I don't think so. People are coming out of the subway. Some of them are hurt, some are fighting. One guy tried to bite an officer. I got video. It is bad video. A lot of movement. How many hurt? I don't know. 10 maybe more. People are running, but not away from the same thing. That is the weird part." I ask him to send the file through the Field app. He says the app is stalling. I tell him to use the backup number. He says he already tried. He says the cell network is choking around him. That happens near major incidents. Everyone records, everyone calls, and the tower gets hammered. I put a note in the system. Lower East Side, subway incident, possible disorder, police responding, awaiting verification. At 1:19 a.m., the scanner catches a dispatcher sending units to an apartment lobby on West 38th Street. The caller reports an assault, possible drug reaction, 1 male attacking doorman and residents. At 1:23 a.m., the second dispatcher sends emergency medical services to the ambulance entrance at Bellevue. Staff request police assistance for a combative patient outside triage. At 1:29 a.m., a bridge officer reports pedestrians moving against traffic near the Manhattan approach to the Williamsburg Bridge. I write the times because that is what I do when something smells wrong. I do not trust memory after midnight. Memory fills gaps with drama. Ink does not. By 1:36 a.m., the police scanner becomes busy enough that I turn on the second receiver. I keep one on citywide. I set the other to Manhattan South. The newsroom speaker plays both at low volume. The words overlap. Assault, emotionally disturbed person, units unavailable, crowd control, injured officer, reworking more buses, repeat more buses. The language is ordinary, the pace is not. Mara comes out of the edit bay with a paper cup of coffee and no shoes. She is 28, good at live graphics, and dangerous when she has not slept. She looks at the assignment board, then at me. "You are writing a lot," she says. "Subway fight, hospital fight, apartment lobby fight, bridge crowd, same half hour, full moon, maybe." She steps closer to the scanner and listens. A dispatcher says a caller at East 17th Street reports a woman standing in traffic and screaming at a pedestrian signal. Then the dispatcher corrects herself. The caller says the woman is not screaming now. The woman is standing under the signal and grabbing at anyone who passes. Mara looks at me again. "Neuro-fever," she asks. That word has been floating around for 6 days. It started as a hospital rumor, high fever, confusion, aggression, a handful of cases in Queens and Newark. No official connection, no confirmed pathogen, no useful guidance. The city health department sent one statement on Friday afternoon, saying there was no evidence of public risk. The phrase violent neurofever came from one doctor who spoke off the record to a medical blog. By Sunday night, every reporter in the city knew the words and nobody could prove anything. Don't say it in the rundown, I tell her. I didn't say put it on air, I said it to you. I know. Do not let anyone else hear it and turn it into a lower third. She gives me the finger without energy and goes to wake up the web producer. At 1:51 a.m., Evan's video arrives in fragments. The first clip is 11 seconds. It shows the entrance to the Essex Street station from across the sidewalk. 2 officers are trying to push people back from the stairs. A man in a gray hoodie climbs over the railing instead of using the steps. He falls hard, gets up, and keeps moving toward the sound of a subway announcement coming from below. The audio is messy. A recorded voice says something about train service changes. Another voice yells for people to move. The man in the hoodie ignores both officers until one officer grabs his arm. Then the man turns and bites the officer's wrist. Mara watches beside me. Neither of us speaks. The second clip is worse, not because it shows more, but because it shows less. The camera is moving, Evan is backing away. People are pressed around the station entrance. One woman keeps shouting a name into the stairwell. Caleb. Caleb. She says it the same way each time, not louder, not softer. A fixed sound that cuts through the street noise. 3 people at the foot of the stairs turn toward her at the same time. They do not run. They climb, stiff and urgent, bumping against each other. One has blood across his shirt. One has no shoes. One has a transit worker's orange vest half pulled off one shoulder. The woman keeps calling. A stranger grabs her coat and drags her back. She fights him because she thinks he is stopping her from finding Caleb. The third clip is only audio. Evan must have lowered the camera. I hear him say, back up, don't call out. Then the file ends. I call him, he does not answer. I text him, you safe? He texts back after 30 seconds. In Delhi. Door locked, sending more when signal works. That is the first time I feel a clean line of concern. Not panic. Panic wastes time. Concern makes lists. I tell Mara to save the clips to the internal server and mark the file sensitive. I call the overnight executive producer, Patricia, who sleeps with her phone under her pillow and answers on the second ring. Tell me this is worth waking me, she says. It is multiple violent incidents. Lower East Side subway entrance. Bellevue, West 38th lobby. Bridge approach. Similar behavior. Biting, confusion, possible fever cases. She is quiet for 1 second. Are we saying neuro-fever? Not without health department confirmation. Do we have video? Yes. Rough. We need legal eyes before air. Can we lead with public safety at 5? Yes, but I do not want a panic package. I want verified incidents and a quiet instruction to avoid affected areas. Quiet instruction? I look through the glass at Studio B. The anchor desk sits under dead lights. The microphone booms hang in place. Behind it, through another layer of glass, I can see the dark outline of the radio booth. We simulcast overnight bulletins on our low-power radio backup when television automation fails. Most people do not know that. Some older building supers still call the station because the radio feed reaches basements when internet goes down. People are crowding near announcements, I say. Subway entrances, bridge loudspeakers, hospital ambulance bays. I do not know if that matters yet. Patricia does not laugh. That is why I still trust her after years of bad meetings. Keep notes, she says. Wake Renata, wake Omar. I am coming in. Do not use zombie. Do not let anyone use zombie. Nobody said zombie. Good. Keep it that way. At 2:06 a.m., the city emergency notification feed pushes a short message to media partners. It says the New York City Department of Health and Mental Hygiene is monitoring several behavioral health emergencies, possibly linked to contaminated substances. Residents are advised to avoid crowded emergency rooms unless care is urgent. There is no broad threat to public safety. The statement uses the words behavioral health emergencies twice. It uses no numbers. I forward it to the newsroom and pin it to the top of the script system. Then I call Bellevue. The main line rings 6 times and drops. I call the public information officer's cell. It goes straight to voicemail. I call a nurse I know from a winter storm piece 2 years earlier. She answers but does not say hello. I can't talk, she says. It's Daniel Ward at Channel 7. I need to know if you are locked down. We are trying. Is this contaminated drugs? She breathes into the phone. Someone in the background yells for security. If you air that, she says, people will come here for answers. Do not send people here. Do you understand me? Do not tell people to come to the hospital unless they are dying. And if you tell them to call ahead, turn the volume down. Phones are ringing all over the waiting room. What does that mean? It means I have to go. The call ends. I stare at the phone longer than I should. Mara is behind me with a station map. She has marked our building on West 53rd Street and circled the entrances. Main lobby on the avenue. Wentley entrance through the freight corridor. Garage ramp shared with 2 other tenants. Roof access through the engineering stairs. Security desk in the lobby, badge gate, turnstiles, too many glass doors. Why are you doing that? I ask. Because if Patricia is coming in, everyone else will try to come in too. Good, we need staff. Do we? Or do we need fewer people making noise in here? That is the first useful pushback of the night. I do not like it because it makes sense. At 2:18 a.m., our web producer Jonah wakes on the couch, checks the internal chat, and says, "People are already using zombie." He says it with the flat tone of a man who has seen every stupid word trend before breakfast. On social feeds, clips are appearing and disappearing. A shaky video from First Avenue shows a delivery rider hitting a parked car because a man walks into the bike lane and reaches for him. Another clip from a building lobby near Herald Square shows residents standing behind the glass while a woman outside presses both hands to the door and moans at the intercom speaker. Every time the doorman says something through the speaker, she presses harder. Another person joins her, then another. The clip cuts before anything else happens. Jonah says, "This is going to run without us if we do not publish. We publish what is confirmed," I say. Confirmed is already slow. Slow is our job. He does not argue, but I can see him thinking I am old. He may be right. Old newsroom habits can get people killed in a fast event. Fast newsroom habits can do the same thing with better graphics. At 2:31 a.m., a police lieutenant I know texts me one line, "Keep your crews out of subway entrances." I text back, "Why?" He writes, "They come up toward Voices." I read it twice. Then I write it on the legal pad in capital letters. Toward Voices, Monday, 3:05 a.m. We cut into overnight programming with a 40-second bulletin. I write it myself and hand it to Malik, the overnight anchor. Malik has silver hair, a careful voice, and a habit of tapping scripts into a perfect square before he reads. He sees my edits and raises his eyebrows. "This is shorter than usual," he says. "Read it once. Do not repeat locations more than needed. Do not say subway entrances more than twice. Do not tell people to gather anywhere. That is not how public information works. Tonight it is." He studies me for a moment, then nods. He has been in news longer than I have. He knows when a producer is guessing, and when a producer is guessing with evidence. The bulletin goes live at 3:07 a.m. This is a public safety update from Channel 7 New York. Police and emergency medical workers are responding to several violent incidents in Manhattan, including near parts of the Lower East Side, Midtown, and the East Side Hospital corridor. City officials are investigating possible links to acute fever and confusion. Avoid active police scenes. Do not crowd subway entrances, emergency room doors, or bridge approaches. If you are indoors and safe, stay indoors. Keep phones charged. Keep building doors secured. We will update when information is confirmed. That is all. Patricia calls during the commercial break. "Good," she says. "Too calm, but good. Too calm is the point. The network wants our video. Give them the shortest clip with no bite close-up. No looping. No looping. No repeated screaming on air. No repeated station announcements. Use still frames if possible." She exhales. "You are building a theory on 3 clips and a text from a lieutenant." "Yes." "Okay. Keep building it." At 3:22 a.m., the city sends another media advisory. This one names no neighborhoods and says the mayor will hold a remote statement at 6:30 a.m. It advises residents to follow official instructions and call emergency services for life-threatening situations only. The message includes a standard phrase, "If you see something, say something." Mara reads it over my shoulder and says, "That phrase is terrible tonight." She is right. It tells people to call out, report, make noise, summon help into spaces where help may not reach them. We do not air the phrase. At 3:40 a.m., the police scanner reports a cluster forming around an ambulance stuck on 2nd Avenue. The siren has jammed or the driver cannot shut it off. Units are told to approach from the north. Then a supervisor says no, hold positions. Then another voice says the ambulance crew is no longer responding. The siren keeps going for 9 minutes on the scanner feed before it cuts out. I do not know if someone turned it off or if the battery died. By 4:15 a.m., Our internal chat is full of staff asking whether to come in. Patricia says essential staff only. Then she changes it to do not come in unless contacted. Then corporate sends a message telling staff to report if assigned because the station has emergency broadcast obligations. Patricia calls corporate and uses language I would not put in a script. 10 minutes later, corporate revises. Remote work where possible. Contradictory orders are not a sign of conspiracy. They are a sign of too many people trying to control a door from different floors of the same burning building. I know that I still hate it. At 4:48 a.m., our morning meteorologist arrives because no one told him not to. He comes through the employee entrance with 2 coffees and a folded umbrella. His name is Peter Sloan. He is 56 and has never missed a snowstorm broadcast in his life. The security guard lets him in, then locks the door again. Peter puts 1 coffee on my desk and says, "Weather is boring, so I brought you this. You should not have come. I got that from the 6 police cars outside Grand Central." Grand Central? South Side, closed doors, people banging on them, some police trying to keep others back. I came west on foot, no trains. A bus was abandoned on 42nd. Did anyone follow you? He looks offended, then thinks about it and stops being offended. No, I did not call out. Good. Peter notices the map, the legal pad, the scanner notes, and the muted monitors. He does not ask another joke question. At 5 a.m., we are supposed to begin the morning show. Instead, we run a controlled emergency format. Malik stays on. Peter gives a short weather note because people need to know it will rain by evening, and I keep the language tight. No dramatic music, no fast montage, no screaming audio, no looping clips. I make the graphics team remove flashing red from the alert banner because flashing makes people stare and stay. We use white text on a black lower bar. Stay indoors if safe. Avoid crowds and active scenes. Secure building entrances. Keep Devis quiet. Jonah says that last line will make people think we are hiding something. We are hiding something, I say. We are hiding panic from people who cannot use it. At 5:32 a.m., we take the mayor's office feed early. The feed shows a blue curtain, an empty podium, and the city seal. There is no room noise. Someone forgot to mute a microphone. We hear a man off camera say, "Do not use quarantine yet." Another voice says, "The governor's office already leaked bridge restrictions." Then the feed cuts. Jonah looks at me. Mara looks at Jonah Malik in the studio, removes his earpiece and stares through the glass. At 5:41 a.m., the Brooklyn Bridge walkway closes. At 5:49 a.m., the Manhattan Bridge car lanes close inbound. At 5:55 a.m., the Queens Midtown Tunnel reports delays due to police activity. At 6:03 a.m., the Holland Tunnel is still open outbound but backing up. At 6:10 a.m., the Williamsburg Bridge becomes a crush of pedestrians trying to leave while police try to clear the roadway. Official announcements from loudspeakers tell people to remain calm and move slowly. The announcement repeats every 30 seconds. The traffic camera has no sound, but I know the cadence because we carry city feeds during storms. The words repeat, "Remain calm, move slowly. Remain calm, move slowly." People stop, turn, argue, call relatives, hold phones up. On the far side of the crowd, several figures move against the flow. At first, they are just dots on the camera. Then one pushes into a group. The group splits. Another dot follows, then another. I call the traffic center contact. No answer. I call the mayor's press line Bussy. I call Patricia. She is still in a car 8 blocks away, blocked by emergency vehicles. Turn around, I tell her. I can walk. Do not. Go home or go to the affiliate office in Jersey if you can. We can run from here. You are telling your boss not to come to work? Yes. She says nothing for a moment. Put Mara in charge if you go off air, she says. I am not going off air. Daniel, put Mara in charge if you go off air. I look at Mara. She is taping a printed sign over the newsroom intercom speaker. The sign says, "Do not use." She feels me looking and says, "What?" I tell Patricia, "Fine." At 6:30 a.m., the mayor speaks from an undisclosed city facility. He says several Manhattan neighborhoods are experiencing public safety disruptions connected to a medical investigation. He says there is no evidence of a citywide threat. He asks residents to avoid rumors and follow instructions from uniformed officers. He says bridges and tunnels may be temporarily restricted to allow emergency access. He says the word temporary 4 times. He does not say bites. He does not say blood. He does not say saliva. He does not say infected. He does not say stay quiet. The city alert system sends his statement to phones across Manhattan with the standard emergency tone. That tone hits the newsroom through every phone we forgot to silence. For 6 seconds, every desk becomes a noise source. Phones shriek, smart watches chirp. The wall-mounted emergency receiver in the radio booth gives a harsh, repeating alert. The sound bounces off glass and ceiling tiles. Everyone reaches for a device. One intern we forgot was asleep under a desk, wakes up and shouts. I yell, "Silence everything, now." No one asks why. Through the window facing the avenue, far below, I see people on the sidewalk stop and check phones. A taxi sits crooked at the curb with the driver's door open. The alert tone rolls down the street from pockets and cars and apartment windows. It repeats because some devices are set to read the message aloud. Somewhere below us, a phone voice says, "Emergency alert, public safety message, emergency alert, public safety message." It repeats until someone shuts it off or drops it. At the corner, a man in hospital scrubs turns toward the sound. He walks into the street, a delivery van brakes. Another person follows him from behind a bus shelter. Then more, not running, not talking, moving with one purpose, toward the loudest repeating sound. Mara stands beside me. "You were right," she says. "I do not feel good hearing it." Monday, 9:20 a.m. The first day becomes a day without a clean beginning. Morning viewers wake up to partial bridge closures, subway suspensions, rumors of attacks, official denial, and us telling them to keep devices quiet. Some thank us, some accuse us of spreading nonsense. Some call the station and leave messages that last 2 minutes because the caller thinks the longer message means someone will listen harder. We stop answering the main viewer line after a caller from Murray Hill keeps whispering from a bedroom while something hits her apartment door. Each time the phone menu repeats. She does not understand at first. She thinks the person outside hears her. Then Mara tells her to hang up, put the phone under a pillow, and write on paper if she needs to communicate with anyone inside the apartment. The caller hangs up. The hitting stops in the background before the line disconnects. After that, we change the phone menu. Engineering hates it, but Peter finds the admin password taped under a keyboard in the radio booth. The new menu says one sentence, one time, at low volume. "If you are safe, do not call this line, doxtect only if urgent." At 10:05 a.m., the subway system announces a staged suspension south of 96th Street. The transit authority says trains already in motion will continue to the nearest safe station. That sounds sensible on television. It is less sensible underground, where the nearest station has speakers, turnstiles, tile corridors, echoing announcements, and crowds already waiting because every phone in the city told people to follow official instructions. A camera from Columbus Circle shows people climbing out of an emergency exit after the station gates close. The alarm on the exit door flashes and sounds. The sound pulls 2 infected from across the mezzanine. A police officer fires 1 shot. The crowd surges, the camera shakes and goes black. We do not air it. We describe the station as unsafe and tell people not to approach transit entrances. At 12:15 p.m., the state announces that the Lincoln Tunnel will close to general traffic. Outbound lanes are already jammed. The Holland Tunnel follows 20 minutes later. The Queensboro Bridge is restricted. The FDR Drive becomes a line of stalled vehicles with drivers standing outside, arguing, crying, filming, honking. Honking becomes one of the worst sounds in the city by lunch. It starts with one driver, it always does. One person thinks the sound will move the car ahead. Then another joins, then several. The infected do not understand traffic, but they understand repetition. Every horn becomes a marker. The worst cluster forms at East 63rd Street, near a broken traffic light and 3 blocked lanes. A helicopter feed shows figures moving between cars. People climb onto roofs, then shout for help, then learn shouting brings more attention. Some throw bags and bottles to distract. One man turns on a car alarm 2 blocks away and draws a cluster north long enough for a group to cross the divider. I write that down too. Decoy sound works but costs someone a place to hide. I am not proud of how quickly I begin thinking in those terms. I am a news producer, not a rescue planner. Still, information has weight. If we say nothing, people repeat old rules that no longer work. Call for help. Go to the hospital. Follow announcements. Gather at exits. Make yourself visible. Tonight those rules can kill. At 1 p.m. we change the format again. Malik reads from the anchor desk. No music under him, no moving graphics. If you are indoors and not in immediate danger, stay where you are. Silence phones, televisions, radios, tablets, intercoms, and smart speakers. Do not play emergency messages at high volume near windows, hallways, lobbies, stairwells, or storefronts. Do not shout from windows. Use written signs only if someone can see them without calling out. Avoid subway entrances, hospital entrances, bridge approaches, tunnel ramps, blocked traffic, and any location with repeated alarms or public address announcements. If an alarm is sounding near you and you can move away safely, move away quietly. If you cannot move safely, close interior doors and reduce sound. He pauses because the next line is the one I argued for with Patricia and lost twice before winning. If a person is confused, feverish, wounded, or aggressive after contact with blood or saliva, keep distance and do not restrain that person without protection and help. That is as far as legal will let us go. It is not enough, but it is more than the city has said. At 1:22 p.m., the health department finally uses the word infection. It says transmission is under investigation. It says close contact with bodily fluids may present risk. It says there is no evidence of airborne spread. It says people with fever, disorientation, or violent behavior should be isolated from others and evaluated by medical personnel. Evaluated where? By whom? The hospitals are already pleading with reporters not to send more people. Bellevue is locked down. NYU Langone has police at ambulance access. Mount Sinai West reports a security breach near intake. Lenox Hill diverts emergency cases. New York Presbyterian sends a staff memo that leaks within 3 minutes. Do not bring suspected neuro-fever patients through main emergency room doors. The city repeats. Call emergency services. Emergency services repeats. Stay on the line. The phones repeat. The infected follow. At 2:10 p.m., a building manager on West 46th texts our tip line with photos of elevator panels covered in duct tape. He writes that every elevator chime in his building was drawing infected to the lobby. He taped the speaker grills and told residents to use stairs only. A resident on the 17th floor complained because she could not hear the elevator. 10 minutes later, someone on the 20th floor called down through the intercom. The lobby intercom speaker crackled. 3 infected who had been standing outside the glass turned toward it at once. I ask him if we can share the advice without naming the address. He writes back, "Yes, tell supers to kill chimes and intercoms." We do. At 4:05 p.m., our building security chief, Denise, comes up from the lobby. She is short, hard to impress, and usually polite in the way security people are polite when a person is wasting time. She is not polite now. "We have a problem at the avenue doors," she says. I stand too fast and knock over the coffee Peter brought. No one comments. Denise points to our security monitor. The lobby camera shows 8 people outside the glass. 4 look injured. 1 is an older man in a suit with no tie. 1 is a woman holding a laptop bag. 2 are pressed near the revolving door. Behind them, on the sidewalk, 3 infected stand in the rain and stare at the lobby, not at the people. At the speaker panel beside the door. The doorman kept asking them to step back through the intercom, Denise says. Each time he spoke, more came from the corner. We shut the panel off. Now the people outside want in. Are they infected? I cannot tell from a camera. One woman says she works for legal on 12. Her badge is not scanning through the glass because the reader is inside. Can you bring her through the freight entrance? Maybe. But if we open one door, sound and people move. There it is, the new math. Help 1 person, risk 20, refuse 1 person. Maybe watch a healthy woman die outside a building where she works. I go to the lobby with Denise, Mara, and Peter. We take the service stairs, not the elevator. Denise makes us stop on the 2nd floor landing and listen before she opens the door to the lobby corridor. I have walked through this building thousands of times without listening to it. Now every hum has a location. Vending machine compressor, fluorescent ballast, water in pipes, a copier waking on some office floor. The city outside is muffled by rain and glass, but it never fully stops. In the lobby, the doorman, Mr. Alvarez, stands away from the intercom with his hands raised in apology to the people outside. He is 63, maybe older, and has worked this desk since before I came to the station. He knows every anchor's schedule and every courier's lie. He whispers, "I told them I cannot open. I told them before she cut the speaker." Denise says, "You did right." The woman with the laptop bag sees us and holds her badge to the glass. She is crying but quiet. Her mouth forms words I cannot hear. She points to the street, then to the side corridor, then to her badge. The older man in the suit pounds once on the glass. The infected on the sidewalk turn toward the impact. He freezes. The woman grabs his sleeve and makes him stop. Mara writes on a sheet of paper with a thick marker. "Are you bitten?" Shohan's arm's neck. She holds it up. The group outside looks at one another. That hesitation is awful because it can mean fear, shame, confusion, or guilt. The woman with the laptop bag turns slowly and shows both arms. No visible bite. The older man does the same. One of the men near the revolving door refuses at first. The others back away from him. Then he pulls his sleeve up. There is a dark smear on his forearm, but I cannot tell what caused it. He shakes his head hard and mouths, "Not mine." Denise points to the side street and holds up one finger. Then she points down. Freight entrance, one at a time. The group understands. Mostly, the older man wants to argue. The woman with the laptop bag stops him. They move along the glass toward the corner. The infected follow because their shoes squeak on wet pavement, and because the older man cannot stop whispering. Denise curses under her breath. We go back through the service corridor toward the freight entrance. Denise positions 2 guards behind a half-open inner door. Mara tapes folded towels over the latch plate so the door will not click loudly. Peter finds a plastic trash bin and wedges it near the wall to block a full swing. I stand there with a fire extinguisher in both hands and feel useless in a very practical way. The first person through is the woman with the laptop bag. Her name is Celia. She works for a law office on 12. She has been outside since 2 p.m. after going to get medication from a pharmacy that closed while she was inside. She is not bitten. Denise checks anyway. Celia does not complain. The second is the older man. He is not from our building. He says he got separated from his wife near Rockefeller Center. Denise tells him he can come in only if he stays quiet and follows instructions. He nods. But he is already looking past her for a phone. The third is the man with the smear on his arm. His name is Brett. He says the blood is from helping someone up near a bus stop. He says he was not bitten. He says it too many times. Denise isolates him in the mailroom with the glass window and tells him to sit where she can see his hands. He calls that illegal detention. Denise says he can leave. He sits. The fourth person never makes it in. He is young, wearing a soaked denim jacket. He reaches the freight door just as a car alarm starts on the side street. It is close, maybe half a block. The sound is fast and sharp. Every infected outside turns. More appear from behind parked cars, from under scaffolding, from the mouth of the alley. The young man looks back at the noise. Denise whispers, "Move," but he cannot hear. He hesitates 1 second too long. Celia presses both hands over her mouth. The inner guards close the door before I see the rest. No one speaks for almost a minute. Then the older man says, "You could have opened faster." Denise turns toward him with a look that makes him sit on the floor without being told twice. Monday, 6:55 p.m. Brett stays in the mailroom. Denise checks him every 15 minutes. At first he complains. Then he goes quiet. Quiet would be good if his face did to change. He sweats. He drinks 2 bottles of water. He says the room is too hot even though the building is cooling as the rain comes down. He asks for a phone. Denise says no speaker, no calls, text only. He says he needs to call his girlfriend. Denise slides paper under the door. He writes 3 words, "I am fine." He asks us to text that to her. We do, she replies. Why no call? He starts crying when he reads it through the glass. At 7:40 p.m., he vomits into a trash can. At 8:05 p.m., he stops answering questions. At 8:19 p.m., he stands and walks to the glass. His eyes track Denise's mouth when she whispers to me, not her face. Her mouth, Denise says, "Back up." Brett puts his forehead against the glass. He does not speak. His fingers slide down the pane. There is a scrape under his hairline we missed because his hair was wet. It could be from falling. It could be from teeth. We cannot know. The older man begins to pray loudly. Peter clamps a hand over his mouth. The man fights him until Celia writes on paper and pushes it in front of his face. Scound brings them. Stop. Brett hits the glass once. Not hard, testing then again. The mailroom door is solid, but the interior window is not made for this. Denise sends everyone back down the hall. She keeps 1 guard with her. We do not have a humane way to handle Brett. We have a locked door, a hallway, and the need to keep the station running. At 8:27 p.m., the city issues another emergency alert. This time, our phones are already off. We watch the text arrive without sound. It says Manhattan residents below 110th Street should shelter in place until further notice. All non-essential travel is prohibited. Bridges and tunnels are closed except for emergency operations. If you are safe indoors, remain indoors. If you are outdoors, seek secure shelter away from crowds and active incidents. It still says nothing about sound. I go back upstairs and put Malik on camera. This is Channel 7 New York. Manhattan is now under a shelter-in-place order below 110th Street. Bridges and tunnels are closed to general traffic. Do not attempt to reach bridge or tunnel entrances. If you are indoors and safe, stay indoors. Keep your space quiet. Silence alerts. Do not use public address systems, intercoms, or speakerphones. If you are with others, use writing or hand signals when possible. Stay away from repeating alarms, car horns, sirens, ringing phones, and automated announcements. He reads cleanly. He does not ask me if the city approved every line. That is why I will remember him with respect, no matter what happens after. Monday becomes Tuesday while we are still on air. Tuesday, 12:18 a.m. The station smells of coffee, wet coats, old carpet, and people trying not to use the bathroom too often because the automatic flushes are too loud. Mara tapes over the sensor eyes with black gaffer tape. Peter writes bathroom door close slowly on a paper towel and tapes it to the wall. Someone laughs at that for half a second, then stops because laughter carries. We rotate between broadcast, monitoring, and building checks. Selip becomes 10-minute collapses in edit bays with the lights off. We eat vending machine crackers and the fruit Peter had in his bag. Celia finds a case of bottled water in a conference room left over from a client meeting. We count it because counting makes scarcity honest. The newsroom has 21 people by midnight, 9 station staff, 4 building security, Celia from the law office, the older man, whose name is Martin, 2 interns, a graphics operator named Hai-Jin who came in before sunrise and now controls every on-screen word with frightening focus, Ravi from engineering, Mr. Alvarez from the lobby, and Brett in the mailroom, no longer Brett in any useful way. He stands until he falls, then he gets up. He hits the glass when sound comes from the hallway. If no one speaks, he waits. He is not clever. He does not look for hinges. He does not hide. He does not pretend. That makes him easier to understand and harder to hate. At 1:05 a.m., the governor announces a joint state and federal containment operation for Manhattan. The word quarantine appears in a chyron on national news before it appears in any local order. The governor says the measure is temporary and necessary. He says essential medical evacuations will continue. He says residents must comply with instructions from law enforcement and National Guard personnel. National Guard personnel. That phrase changes the room. It means the city response has crossed from police problem to public order problem. It also means bigger vehicles, more checkpoints, more loudspeakers, more sirens, and more people with orders built for crowds that listen. At 1:30 a.m., we get a call from a Guard Public Affairs captain in Albany. He wants us to air a standard shelter message. It says residents should proceed calmly to designated assembly points if instructed by authorities. I tell him we will not use that line without a list of confirmed safe sites and a sound advisory. He says, "You do not get to modify state emergency language." I say, "Captain, if I tell people to proceed to assembly points and those points have loudspeakers, I may be sending healthy people into infected groups. That has not been confirmed. It has been observed for 24 hours. By whom? By police, hospital staff, building managers, our crews, traffic cameras, and everyone who has watched a siren pull a crowd down a block tonight." He lowers his voice. "I am not authorized to say that. I am not asking you to say it. I am asking you not to make me say the opposite." The line stays open. I hear paper moving near his phone. "Stand by," he says. We stand by for 42 minutes. During those 42 minutes, national outlets run the assembly point language. Social feeds fill with people asking where to go. Someone posts a map of old hurricane evacuation centers. Several are schools with public address systems. One is already surrounded, according to a viewer text from a building across the street. At 2:14 a.m., the captain calls back. "Use shelter in place only," he says. "No assembly points unless police are at the door. Keep sound language if you want." I did not say that, understood, and remove my title from your notes. I do not, but I do not use it on air. Tuesday morning comes with a dead subway system, closed bridges, roadblocks, and a city full of devices still trying to guide people through normal life. Pedestrian signals chirp for crossings where no traffic moves. Store security shutters beep when power cycles. Delivery robots sit abandoned and announce obstacle detected until their batteries die. Elevator voices say going down to empty shafts. Apartment smoke detectors with weak batteries chirp every minute in units where the owner fled, hid, or turned. The infected gather at those sounds not all at once, not in movie crowds, in ones and threes and small lines that drift through rain and steam and trash. A repeated sound collects them slowly. That slowness fools people. A man on West End Avenue texts that there are only 2 outside his building, so he will make a run to his car. 20 minutes later, his wife texts from the same phone and asks us not to read his name. We stop reading names unless the person is missing and the family requests it. Names make people call out at windows. Names make people search unsafe places. Names make anchors human in the wrong way. At 9 a.m. Tuesday, Malik finally steps away from the desk. His voice has gone rough. He asks me if he can sleep in the audio booth. I tell him yes. He asks me to sit in front of the microphone for the radio feed while Hai-Jin runs the TV text loop. I tell him I am not an anchor. He says no one cares, just sound sane. So I sit in the small radio booth with foam on the walls and a red on-air light that Ravi has covered with tape because it glows into the hallway. The microphone smells faintly of old breath and disinfectant. I put the gain lower than normal. I speak close but not in a whisper, because whispers make people lean into speakers and turn volumes a steady voice. This is Channel 7 New York with a low-volume safety update for listeners in Manhattan. Keep this radio low. Do not place speakers near windows, doors, hallways, stairwells, lobbies, or street-facing vents. Current guidance is shelter in place if you are indoors and safe. Avoid repeated sounds, silence phones and alarms. Do not call out to people in the street. Do not approach subway entrances, bridge approaches, tunnel ramps, emergency rooms, or vehicles with active horns or alarms. If you must move inside a building, move quietly. Use stairs only if the stairwell is clear and if doors can close without slamming. If someone is sick, aggressive, confused, or injured, after a bite or contact with blood or saliva, keep distance. Use a closed door if possible. Do not crowd the person. Do not use speakerphone. Updates will repeat in 10 minutes. I end the live read and set the loop to play once every 10 minutes, not continuously. The gaps matter. Repetition attracts, silence protects. It feels wrong for radio. Dead air is a sin. Today dead air is safety. Tuesday afternoon brings the first confirmed federal language. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention calls it an acute transmissible neurological infection. Transmission appears linked to bites and direct contact with infected blood or saliva. People exposed should isolate and monitor symptoms. Symptoms may include fever, disorientation, loss of speech, aggression, and fixation on sound or movement. There it is, fixation on sound, buried in the 4th paragraph. No headline, no emergency tone, no explanation of what repeated sirens are doing to the city. We put it in the headline at 4:40 p.m. Ravi reports our generator fuel is good for a limited run, not days. The building has grid power, but if the grid fails, the generator will support broadcast equipment, emergency lights, server room cooling, and some outlets. It will not support comfort. It will make noise from the roof housing. It will vent hot air. It will mark this building as active to anyone nearby with ears or eyes. Can we run low power? I ask. Television. No radio. Yes, dist web, maybe. Depends what dies. If we need to choose radio and text. He nods. Television people hate hearing that. Television people can file a complaint when the bridge is open. He almost smiles. At 5:30 p.m., Martin, the older man from the lobby, becomes a problem. He has been quiet most of the day, but quiet from fear is not the same as cooperation. He keeps asking to use a phone. He wants to find his wife. We have texted the number he gave us 12 times. No response. He says the phone must be dead. He says she may be outside the building. He says if he can stand near a window and call her name, she will hear. Celia tells him gently that calling out can bring infected to the building. He says she does not understand marriage. Peter tells him no. Martin calls him a coward. Denise tells Martin he can sit in conference room C or be locked in it. Martin sits, but his face changes. Not infection. Decision. I should assign someone to watch him. I do not. That is my mistake. At 6:12 p.m. During a radio update, an intercom speaker in the newsroom crackles. It is not supposed to work. Mara taped over it. Ravi thought he killed the floor system. The speaker pops. Then Martin's voice comes through from a conference room phone tied into the building paging system. Elaine, he says, Elaine. If you can hear me, I am at Channel 7's, West 53rd. Elaine, come to the front doors. The room freezes. My microphone is live. I cut the feed mid-sentence. Mara runs for the conference room. Denise moves faster than I thought she could. Martin repeats the message. He is crying now. Elaine, please. West 53rd, Channel 7. I am here. Outside, far below, figures on the avenue begin to turn toward the building. Denise reaches the room first and yanks the phone cord from the wall. Martin tries to hold on to it. She slams him against the table. Not hard enough to injure him. Hard enough to stop him. He sobs and says he had to try. Denise says nothing. She zip ties his hands in front with a cable tie from engineering. He does not fight after that. The damage is done. For the next hour, the infected gather at the avenue side. Not hundreds, not yet. Enough. 20 at first, then 30, then more from both corners. Some stand in the rain and stare at the dark intercom panel. Some press the glass. Some bump into one another. A few fresh ones move faster. Shoulders forward, hands up, still wearing normal expressions that have gone empty of normal decisions. One has a grocery bag looped around one wrist. One wears a hospital visitor sticker. One wears a police uniform shirt with no belt. The station sign above the lobby glows because it is on a building circuit we do not control from upstairs. Channel 7 New York. Bright letters, familiar name. A place people call when the city goes wrong. Now it marks us. At 7:35 p.m., a crowd of living people arrives too. 6 of them come from the west, moving along the building line. One has a flashlight. One has a child. The child is maybe 6. The flashlight is a terrible idea. But the person holding it has probably learned that dark doorways are dangerous. They see the station sign. They see the infected at the front. They do not understand the freight entrance. One man cups his hands and starts to shout. I am at the second floor window with Mara. We cannot open it. We hold up a sign. Do not shout. West quit. Side door marked blue. The man lowers his hands. Good, then the child sees us and waves. The movement pulls 2 infected around. The group backs away. The person with the flashlight drops it. It hits the pavement, stays on, and rolls under a parked delivery truck. The beam points at the truck's chrome bumper. Infected turn toward the clatter and light. The group runs west. Running feet make sound, but less than screaming. They disappear toward the side street. Denise sends 2 guards to the freight entrance. We wait. One adult makes it. The child makes it. Another woman makes it with a torn sleeve and no bite. The man who almost shouted does not. The guard closes the door before anyone else can see enough to remember badly. The child says his name is Noah. He asks if the television people can call his mother. No one answers for a moment. Then Celia kneels, shows him paper and writes, "Quiet number?" He knows it. Celia texts. No response. Tuesday night, the station is no longer a workplace. It is a shelter with broadcast equipment. Wednesday, 4:30 a.m. I wake in the edit bay because Mara is shaking my shoe. She does not touch my shoulder. Everyone has become careful about sudden contact. The room is lit by the monitor glow from a paused clip of City Hall. My neck hurts from sleeping in a chair. My shirt smells stale. I have a line of dried coffee on my sleeve. I do not know how long I slept. It was not long enough to become rest. You need to see this, Mara whispers. In the newsroom, Hai Jin has 4 viewer clips arranged on one screen. Different neighborhoods, same behavior. A smoke detector chirps across a courtyard, and infected wait under the fire escape. A police radio crackles inside a broken cruiser, and infected crowd the car. A school shelter uses a bullhorn, and more infected reach the locked exterior doors. It is not only voice, it is repetition, volume, and human tone when voice is present. It is not just human voices, Hyjin says. It is repeated, sound first, voice strongest, pattern, rhythm, volume, proximity, I say. Yes, but voice wins when volume is close. Watch. She plays the school clip without audio at first. Then, with the audio low, the infected move toward the bullhorn even though a fire alarm is sounding in the distance. The bullhorn has human tone. It has command shape. They do not understand words, but they track it. We need to say human voice carries extra risk, Mara says. City will hate that. City is wrong. She is tired enough to be clean with it. At 5 a.m., I read the update myself. This is Channel 7 New York. Keep volume low. Updated safety pattern. Infected persons appear strongly drawn to repeated sound, including alarms, sirens, horns, recorded announcements, ringing phones, and human voices. Live or recorded human voice may attract attention, even when words are not understood. Do not shout from windows. Do not use bullhorns, lobby intercoms, public address systems, or speakerphones unless there is an immediate life safety need and no alternative. Do not repeat names into streets, stairwells, or subway entrances. Use paper signs, text messages, closed doors, and quiet signals. If a sound is already drawing infected persons, do not approach it unless trained responders are physically present and directing you. I wait, then add the part I know will hurt some people. Do not travel to this station. We cannot take walk-ins at the front entrance. We are operating with limited staff inside a secured building. If you are nearby and safe indoors, stay where you are. I look through the glass after I say it. The newsroom hears me. So do the people we turned away without saying it. At 6:20 a.m., the city finally adds sound to official guidance. The advisory says residents should reduce unnecessary noise and avoid attracting persons exhibiting infected behavior. It is careful language, too careful, but it exists. I should feel relief. Instead, I feel anger arrive late. A full day of sirens, repeated alerts, public announcements, and phone menus has already fed the pattern. I push the anger down. Anger makes speeches. Speeches waste breath. Wednesday becomes the day of small systems failing. At 9:45 a.m., the newsroom receives a text from a city council staffer trapped in a district office near 23rd Street. She says 7 people are inside. One has a bite. The bitten person is calm and begging not to be locked alone. The others want to restrain him. She asks what to do. I am not a doctor. I am not police. I am not clergy. I call the health department media line. It does not answer. I call a doctor source. He texts back. Isolate behind barrier. Monitor. No physical restraint without protection. Avoid mouth contact. Cover wounds. No shared towels. No shared utensils. Time of bite matters but variable, he adds. I am not giving public advice. I write back, understood. We broadcast general guidance again. Isolation. Closed door. No crowding. No bare-handed restraint. Keep written communication possible if safe. Do not shame the person into hiding. Do not let guilt put others within reach. The staffer texts 40 minutes later. He turned, door held. We are alive. Thank you then. He was my brother. I put the phone face down. At 12:18 p.m., Ravi reports the roof equipment is drawing attention. Not infected yet. People. A group in the building across the street has noticed our microwave dish movement and the hum from the ventilation housing. They hold a sign from a window. Are you bronchount? Help US, we answer with a sign. How many? Seish? Bites? Their reply takes time because they have to tape paper together. 9 in sick, door blocked, waiter low. This is the new public service. Window to window, black marker, no sound. We tell them to isolate the sick person if possible. Fill containers, silence devices. Do not run water loudly if infected are inside hallway. Text emergency services if signal works. Mark window with white cloth only if responders are physically nearby. They ask for evacuation. We cannot provide it. We write, no safe moot noun. A woman in that window stares at our sign for a long time. Then she nods once. That nod stays with me because it is not agreement. It is acceptance of bad information. At 3:25 p.m., our lobby glass cracks. Not all at once. A thin line appears across one panel where infected have been pressing since Martin's page. Denise watches on camera and says the door will not hold another day if the crowd grows. The Avenue group has thinned and thickened with sound. Rain washed some away. Sirens pulled others north. A car alarm pulled several east. New ones drifted back after a news helicopter passed too low. At 4 p.m., Patricia sends me a private message. You need to prepare for station evacuation if building fails. I write back. No safe route. She writes, prepare anyway. She is right. I hate that too. We map the building from memory, tenant plans, and security monitors. Main lobby is compromised. Freight entrance is risky but possible in brief windows. Garage ramp has 2 infected inside and 1 abandoned delivery truck blocking half the turn. Deriv stairs go to basement, roof, and mechanical floors. A tunnel connection to the adjacent building exists on old plans but may be sealed. The building has a loading dock that opens to a narrow side street. The side street has fewer infected when no alarms sound. The problem is the metal roll-up door. It screams when moved unless greased. Ravi finds maintenance spray in a closet and says it might help. Denise says might is better than nothing. We do not evacuate. Not yet broadcast still matters. The building still holds. The people across the street still signal. Texts still arrive from apartments, offices, stairwells, bodegas, clinics, hotel rooms, subway maintenance spaces, and one stalled elevator with 4 people inside who are trying not to talk because the elevator voice keeps saying, "Please stand clear of the doors" every time someone shifts weight. Wednesday night is colder. The station heat weakens. People put on coats indoors. Noah coughs twice and everyone looks at him. He says it is dust. Celia says it is dust before anyone else can ask. She looks ready to fight the room. No one pushes. At 8:15 p.m., Martin asks to write. Denise gives him a marker and paper but keeps his hands tied in front. He writes, "I killed them by calling." Nobody says no, nobody says yes. Celia takes the paper, turns it over and writes, "You made a bad choice. Now stop making more." He reads it and nods. That is the closest thing to mercy available in the room. Thursday, 2:35 a.m. Power drops downtown. Then in parts of Midtown south of us. Our building flickers but holds. The street changes when light goes out. It does not become silent, it becomes specific. Individual alarms stand out. Individual voices carry farther. Battery backup systems beep from offices. Security panels complain. A restaurant freezer alarm sounds for hours until the battery dies. Infected collect around the restaurant and stay there, bumping the locked gate. Listening to a machine warn no one about food that no longer matters. Our station remains on grid power until 3:10 a.m. Then the lights dip, return, dip again and fail. Emergency lights snap on. The server room battery units scream. Ravi and 2 engineers sprint without running, which means fast walking with tools held tight against the body so nothing clanks. They silence what they can. The generator starts 30 seconds later on the roof. Even through concrete, we feel the vibration and hear the low mechanical grind. It is not loud inside. Outside in a quieter city, it may be enough. How long? I ask. Ravi checks a panel. Depends on load. Maybe 20 hours, maybe less if cooling fights us. Cut television? He looks at Patricia on the video call. Patricia looks at me. The emergency lights make everyone on the screen look older. Patricia says, "Cut television if radio and text stay up. Network will hate it. Viewers with power will hate it. But television needs more equipment, more cooling, more people, more light. Radio can run on less. Text can run until networks fail." We switch the television feed to a static card with quiet guidance and direct viewers to radio, text, and official alerts. Hygiene makes the card plain. No flashing, no sound under it. Then we kill the studio lights. The newsroom becomes smaller in the dark. People speak less because darkness forces listening. Outside, the station sign still glows for 8 minutes on a separate circuit. Then it dies. For the first time since Monday, the front of our building is not advertising itself. At 4 a.m., the infected at the lobby begin to drift. Not all. Some remain because the cracked glass and old sounds still hold them. Others follow a siren several blocks away. We watch on the camera until the camera battery backup fails. Then the lobby becomes a place we can only imagine, which is worse and safer at the same time. At 12 p.m., the station receives a formal request from the city to join an emergency information pool. It means our language may be distributed through other stations and official text channels. Patricia forwards it to me and says, "Congratulations, your stubbornness is policy now." I do not answer. Policy arrived after the city had already taught infected to follow every alert tone in Manhattan. Still, the pool matters. By 1 p.m., our quiet guidance is on 3 local stations, 2 radio frequencies, and some official social channels. The wording is cut down, but the core survives. Shelter, silence, avoid repeated sound, avoid bites and fluids, use writing, no shouting. No assembly points unless directed in person by responders. At 3 p.m., the roof generator draws infected into the service alley. We hear it first through the stairwell door, not the infected. The metal trash cans, a slow bump, then another. Denise checks through a narrow wired glass panel on the 3rd floor landing. She sees movement below. The alley was supposed to be our evacuation route. Now at least 12 infected stand near the generator vent and loading dock. Because the vibration carries through the wall and the exhaust fan pulses every few seconds. Can you shut it down? I ask Ravi. Yes, and lose broadcast. Can you baffle it? With what? He is not being sarcastic, he is asking for materials. At 5 p.m. I record a longer message for the pool. It is 5 minutes but designed in segments with silence between. No repeated siren tone, no intro music, no station identifier shouted over stingers. Just voice, low and even. You may hear conflicting instructions. Use this priority order if you cannot verify a direct order from responders at your door. 1. Stay indoors if your room or building is secure. 2. Reduce sound before you move. 3. Avoid bites, blood, and saliva. 4. Do not enter crowds, subway stations, hospitals, bridge approaches, tunnel approaches, or active alarm areas. 5. Use written communication if possible. 6. If you must move, plan a short route to a more secure interior space, not a long trip across the city. 7. Do not open a secure door because a stranger asks loudly. Assess through glass, peephole, camera, or writing when possible. 8. Help quietly when you can. Do not turn one emergency into many. I stop. My mouth tastes stale. The booth is hot because ventilation is reduced. I can hear someone outside the booth crying quietly. I do not look to see who. People deserve one small place not to be seen. Friday, 12:05 a.m. The 5th day begins with our generator warning light. Ravi says fuel is lower than expected. Lub reductions helped, but not enough. The generator may run until morning, maybe midday if we cut more. The roof draw is still a problem. The alley is still compromised. Grid power may return or not. Official extraction for media workers is not planned. Patricia tries channels I do not have. She comes back with the truth. No one is coming for us today unless we become part of a larger operation. You have to leave a loop, she says over video. And go where? North if possible, interior route if not. Any location that does not have a glowing station sign and a roof generator. The lobby is compromised, alley compromised, garage compromised. Then you need another way. Ravi says the old tenant tunnel to the adjacent building may still exist behind a storage room wall in the basement. Not a tunnel exactly. A service passage used for cables and maintenance before renovations. It may be sealed with drywall. It may open into a mechanical room next door. It may be blocked by locked grates. It may not exist in usable form at all. Denise says, May is better than waiting for the glass to fail. We make a plan without calling it a plan on air. Calling it evacuation would spread inside the room and make people move badly. We choose who goes first if the passage opens. Noah, Celia, the 2 interns, Hyjin Martin if he can follow instructions, Mr. Alvarez, Peter, Malik, remaining staff, Denise's guards, Denise, Ravi, me. Denise argues about being last. Ravi argues about being last because he knows the equipment. I do not argue because someone has to keep broadcasting until the loop is set. That is not bravery, it is role. A person can hide inside a role for only so long, but sometimes it holds him upright. At 1:20 a.m. I start building the final low-power loop. It cannot be too long. Long loops become repeated voice. It cannot be too short, or people miss essential guidance. It cannot include locations that draw people to us. It cannot include dramatic phrasing. It cannot promise rescue. It cannot tell people help is not coming. It has to reduce harm without creating a new sound trap. I write it by hand first, then I cross out half, then half again. Mara watches over my shoulder. You need to tell people not to keep replaying it, she says. Yes, and not to come here. Yes, and not to call for us if they hear this later. That one hurts in a small, clean way. Yes. At 2 a.m., Ravi and Denise take 2 guards to the basement storage room. They carry pry bars, a battery lantern covered with paper to dim it, painter's tape and towels to wrap tools. No power tools. Too loud, the building below us has its own sounds, pipes, generator vibration, occasional impacts from the alley. Brett behind the barricade, still active when noise reaches him. The basement is not safe, but no route is. At 2:35 a.m., Ravi texts. Wall potch, cutting quiet. Cutting means slow work with hand tools and a utility knife where possible. It means dust, it means cramped arms, it means time we may not have. I keep the radio updates going every 15 minutes, then every 20. Less repetition, more silence. At 3:10 a.m., a listener texts from an apartment on West 51st. She says she can hear our station loop from a neighbor's radio through the wall. The neighbor died or left. The radio keeps playing. Infected are in the hallway outside that apartment. gathering near the sound. She asks what to do. Our message is saving some people and endangering others. There it is, no theory left. My own voice through a wall, calling infected toward a door. I text back from the station line. Do not enter hall. If safe inside your unit, stay. Reduce your own sound. Put towels at door gap. If radio is in adjacent unit and no safe access, do not risk hallway. If infected leave later, consider building note to superintendent by text. We are reducing broadcast repetition now. Then I change the loop again. Shorter, less frequent, lower power. At 3:40 a.m., Ravi texts. Passage blocked Purchel. Person crawl air, bad but moving. At 3:46 a.m., opens next building, mech room. Door locked from other side maybe. Working. At 4:05 a.m. the lobby glass gives way. We do not see it. We hear the building change. A deep crack, then falling glass. Then the security alarm starts. Not the little chirp, fool alarm. Loud enough to erase every careful rule on our floors. The newsroom erupts into motion without shouting. Mara kills local speakers. Ravi is in the basement and cannot reach the main alarm panel. Denise is below. The alarm pulses through the building and the infected outside now have the clearest invitation we have given them since Martin's page. Maybe clearer. Peter grabs the evacuation papers. Celia grabs Noah. Hyjin pulls the tech server to the emergency mode we prepared. Malik wakes from a floor mat and takes 3 seconds to understand. Martin stands with his tied hands and says nothing. The alarm keeps going. I enter the radio booth and close the door. The booth dulls the alarm but cannot remove it. My final script is on the desk. I do not read it right away. I listen to the alarm, then to the open channel, then to my own room through the glass. People moving, papers, shows, no screaming good. I press the talk button. This is Channel 7 New York. Keep your volume low. This station is switching to a low-power emergency loop. Do not travel to this building. Do not call out toward this broadcast if you hear this message through a wall, hallway, lobby, street, or open window. Reduce volume or move away quietly if safe. Infected persons are drawn to repeated sound, including this broadcast if it is loud. Use this information once, then keep devices quiet. I pause. The alarm continues behind the walls. Current safety guidance. Stay indoors if your space is secure. Silence phones, televisions, radios, alarms, intercoms, public address systems, and speakerphones. Do not shout from windows or stairwells. Avoid subway entrances, bridge approaches, tunnel ramps, emergency rooms, blocked traffic, and any active alarm. Avoid bites, blood, and saliva. If someone is feverish, confused, aggressive, or wounded after contact, create distance behind a closed door if possible. Use writing, text, or hand signals. Help quietly when you can. Do not turn one emergency into many. I stop again. Look through the glass. Mara is at the door, pointing down. Time. I add the last part. This message will repeat at long intervals to reduce sound risk. Do not keep replaying it. Do not gather near speakers. Do not follow sirens unless responders are physically present and directing you. Kid is now part of shelter. Kid is now part of rescue. This is Daniel Ward at Channel 7 New York. End live update. I set the loop to repeat every 30 minutes at low power. Ravi showed me how twice. I do it right the first time because fear can sharpen simple tasks when there is no room for pride. I kill the live microphone. I save the file. I leave the booth. Mara is waiting. Good? Good enough. We move. The stairwell door is heavier than I remember. Someone has taped the latch so it closes soft. The alarm is louder in the stairwell. It comes from above and below, from speakers hidden in walls, from a system doing exactly what it was built to do: warn everyone. Organize everyone. Make the building impossible to ignore. We go down single file. Denise's guard at the front. Celia with Noah, Hyjin. The interns, Mr. Alvarez, Malik. Peter with Martin, one hand on Martin's tied wrists. Mara, me. We do not take bags that make noise. We do not carry chairs or hero supplies. Water bottles are wrapped in shirts. Tools are taped. Phones are off. The alarm covers some sound, but the alarm is also bringing everything toward us. On the 6th floor landing, something hits the door from the office side. We stop. It hits again. Not strong, then a mouth sound. Wet breath. No words. Someone left an infected in an office, or one came up from a lower floor before the doors were blocked. The guard signals down. We keep moving. 4th floor, 3rd, 2nd. At the 2nd floor landing, the door window shows movement in the hall. Too many shapes. The lobby breach is pushing infected upward. Denies below us somewhere. Must already know. The guard points down faster. First floor is not an option. Basement only. The air changes below ground. Dust, damp concrete, old heat, fuel, and something from the alley that I do not name because naming it does not help. The alarm is muffled but still present. Emergency lights make the corridor uneven. Denise appears from a storage room doorway and waves us in with both arms. Her face is streaked with dust. Ravi stands behind her, holding a towel over his mouth. The hole in the wall is waist-high and ugly. Drywall edges, cut cable. Old brick behind it, a narrow service passage beyond, barely wide enough for shoulders if a person turns. Air moves through it, not much, but enough to carry dust away. On the other side, Ravi says, is the adjacent building mechanical room. The door there is chained, but the chain has slack. He can lift it if people go one by one and stay low. Noah goes first. He does not cry. Celia goes after him. Then Hai-Jin, then the interns. The passage scrapes clothing. It forces each person to exhale and push with elbows. It is not heroic. It is dirty and slow and humiliating. That may be why it works. Panic likes wide doors. Survival often uses bad maintenance spaces no one cared about enough to seal correctly. From the basement corridor behind us, something knocks over metal shelving. Denise closes the storage room door most of the way. Not fully, the latch would click. She holds it with her foot. Mr. Alvarez goes through, Malik goes. Peter guides Martin to the hole. Martin looks at me. If Elaine calls, he whispers. I shake my head once, not because she will not call, because we do not have time for a sentence that cannot be answered honestly. He nods and crawls in. Mara is next. She pauses at the hole and looks back at me. You saved more than you hurt, she says. You do not know that. Neither do you, Meave. She goes through. The storage room door shifts under Denise's foot. A hand comes through the gap, fingers opening and closing at the air, reacting to the sound of us inside. Denise shoves the door back with her shoulder. The guard raises a pry bar but does not swing because hitting the door will ring through the room. Go, Denise mouths. I point at her. She points at the hole, then at the guard, then at herself. Order set. No debate. I crawl. The passage is tighter than it looked. My shoulder catches. For 2 seconds I am stuck with my face against cold dust and my hands flat on old concrete. Someone ahead pulls my wrist, Mara. I turn my shoulder and slide forward. My belt snags, then freeze. Behind me, the storage room door thuds once. Not loud. Heavy, final in a practical way. I reach the mechanical room on the other side and fall onto a rubber mat. Celia pulls me away from the opening. The room is dark except for the covered lantern. Pipes run along the ceiling. A boiler sits cold. Everyone is pressed between machinery and a wall of cleaning supplies. Ravi is at the door chain, lifting it inch by inch so it does not scrape. Denise comes through last. Then the guard. Denise has a cut on her cheek. She shows her arms before anyone asks. No bite. The guard shows his hands. No bite. We do not hug. We do not celebrate. The alarm from our building still sounds through the wall. Farther now, pulling danger toward a place we are leaving. The mechanical room door opens into a service hallway of the neighboring building. No alarm, no voices, no lobby music, no elevator chime. A dead office building. Or one pretending well enough. Denise checks left. The guard checks right. We move right because the old plans show a rear stair that exits into an interior courtyard shared by 3 buildings. From there, maybe another basement, maybe a north corridor, maybe a locked gate, maybe nothing. My phone vibrates once in my pocket. I forgot to turn it fully off. Everyone stops. I freeze, then press the side buttons until the screen dies. One vibration, small, stupid human. We wait for movement. Nothing comes. We continue. At the rear stair, a printed sign on the wall says in clean corporate language, "In case of emergency, use stairs, do not use elevator." It is old advice. Tonight it is still partly right. That is the thing about old rules. Some survive. Some turn against you. A person has to know the difference before the rule kills him. We climb 2 floors, not down. Denise wants height before lateral movement. Street exits are bad. Roofs are bad unless connected. Mid-level offices may give us interior paths through tenant spaces. Ravi thinks this building connects to a hotel through a conference floor. Celia says hotels have service corridors, laundry rooms, back stairs, kitchens, staff doors. She used to date a hotel manager and apologizes for bringing that up. Nobody cares why she knows it. On the 3rd floor, we enter an office suite through a door someone propped with a trash can days ago. Probably for a smoke break or a delivery. Inside, desks sit untouched, monitors black. A mug on a desk says "Best team ever." Someone's shoes are under a chair. Someone left a cardigan on the back of a chair and will never know it became a blanket for a sleeping child in a hallway. 30 minutes later. We rest in the interior copy room because it has no windows and one door. Ravi checks signal. Weak. Mara's phone gets 1 bar near the copier. She receives the station text monitor. The loop is still transmitting low power. 30-minute intervals. The first repeat goes out at 5 a.m. We cannot hear it from here. That is good. The message exists without us. It will help someone. It will hurt someone if used wrong. It will fade when the generator dies or the transmitter fails or someone smarter replaces it. I have to accept that because there is no clean version of what we did. At 5:12 a.m., Patricia texts. Signal still up. Are you alive? I look at the people in the copy room. Noah asleep against Celia. Malik with his eyes closed but not sleeping. Peter holding Martin's cable tie in one hand because Denise finally cut it after Martin crawled through and did not run. Mara watching the door. Denise wiping dust from her cheek and refusing help. Ravi sitting on the floor with both hands shaking now that his work is done for the minute. I text back. Alive. Off station floor, moving quiet. Patricia replies. Keep moving north if you can. Do not broadcast live again unless safe. For once, I obey immediately. We wait until the next loud sound outside. A distant helicopter. Not close enough to draw us out. Close enough to cover a door opening. Deny signals. We leave the copy room, cross the office, and enter another stairwell. No one speaks. No one calls out. No one trusts the building just because it is silent. The 5th day is not over. The quarantine is not over. Manhattan is still full of phones, alarms, locked doors, infected hallways, and people alive in rooms waiting for instructions that do not get them killed. I am not saving the city by walking through a dark office with dust on my hands. I am only carrying what we learned out of one loud building before that building turns into another trap. At the stairwell door, I look back once. Through a narrow office window between 2 buildings, I can see part of our station sign across the gap. The letters are dark now. The alarm has stopped. Maybe the system failed. Maybe Ravi's panel silence finally took. Maybe the infected broke enough inside that the building no longer has anything to say. My phone stays off. My mouth stays shut. Mara opens the next door with 2 fingers and catches the latch before it clicks. We step into the hallway one at a time. The city is not quiet, not really, but for the first time in 5 days, I understand which sounds belong to danger, which sounds belong to people, and which sounds must end before anyone can live long enough to hear mourning.